Contact him at 317-443-0052. We're ready for every touchdown, basket, and goal. Contact Mr. Wizard, 317-443-0052.
Here's Brian Clark with today's Bible Minute.
For 25 years, Abraham and Sarah waited for God's promise, the birth of a son who would change their lives and the lives of all their descendants forever. So you might expect the writer of Genesis to have recorded this birth in grand style. Instead, you read, "Then the Lord took note of Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had promised. So Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the appointed time of which God had spoken to him." Two matter-of-fact sentences saying God made a promise, and at the appointed time, he kept it. Well, that's the whole point. God keeps his promises. So today, be encouraged as you think about God's promises for your life, and remember, God said it, God will do it. It's as good as done.
To hear more Bible Minutes, visit backtothebible.org/Bible Minute.
And welcome to IndianaSRN. The Sports Zone is moments away, but let me share several ways that you can follow us. On Twitter, at IndianaSRN. Subscribe to our YouTube page, IndianaSRN. Follow Keith Myers on Twitter, at Coach IndianaSRN, or our Facebook, Indiana Sports Radio Network. Email us at coach@indianasrn.org. Please feel free to comment about the show. Now, let's join today's Sports Zone. It's the Sports Zone with Keith Myers and the IndianaSRN sports team. Made possible by Morales Group, College Hunks and Movers, the IHSAA, and Aspen Creek Grill. Now, let's join Keith and his guests.
Well, good morning. It is the Sports Zone. Thank you very much for joining us. On the hotline is Matt Lang, longtime friend and athletic director at Guerin Catholic when we ended up our little goodbyes. Now down in Florida, soaking up the sun and staying in the house, huh?
Yeah, good morning, Indiana.
How you doing, Matt? You doing well?
Everything's going well. Life is good. Of course, we're all dealing with this, this unforeseen circumstance, but we're all doing the best we can, and I think it's, important that we all kind of take a minute and remember all the blessings we do have, and family members and loved ones, and just try to do the best we can and live life the best we can, but also take a deep breath and realize that, things are good. Life is good.
Okay. You left Indiana in end of March of last year. Is that right? You've been gone about a year now?
That's correct. I think I'm now able to call myself maybe a transplant here down in Florida. I was a newbie for a long time. So, I do got a Florida driver's license now. And so, I've been enjoying my time down here. And like I said, when I left Guerin Catholic, it was the main reason was I just wanted to be closer to family. And my dad lives here in Florida, and he's approaching 70 mark, and my son is a sophomore now at Florida Gulf Coast, and I'm engaged to a girl I graduated high school with. So we're engaged, and she's lived in Bradenton for, I don't know, I think she's lived here for about 13 years. And so just a lot of things was pulling at me and wanting me to, be around family and loved ones, and enjoyed my time at Guerin Catholic. Very blessed to spend that time, but just, how it is. Family's number one.
Right.
Family's number one.
Yeah, Ryan Davis, every day that he has to put up with me, thanks you all the time, I'm sure of. Thanks, Matt. Because Matt is one of the reasons why we're in Garen Catholic. And Matt, what a great, you knew that was going to be a great fit for not only us at Indiana SRN, but for Garen Catholic. And it's been very rewarding. And I want to thank you for allowing us to do that while you were there, and then how they have carried that on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime we can, really recognize our student athletes and to really keep a perspective of what high school sports are all about, and that experience and those life lessons or those virtues, and like I said, just really giving our student athletes the recognitions that they deserve, and our coaches and our programs. As you know, I mean, sports are sports, but a lot of people put a lot of time in, and it's very important to them. And I think, being able to recognize those people, and us being on the same page and putting student athletes first, I think was made sense.
Let's talk a little bit about your high school career. What sport did you play down in high school?
So I graduated from Elwood Community High School, just north up the road, up 37 a little bit, and I played football, wrestling, and baseball. So I kept myself pretty busy. I was a 3-sport athlete, and I wouldn't say I was spectacular at anything, but I loved the game. I played hard. I played the right way, and had some good coaches, and just kind of enjoyed being around my friends. And as you know, I mean, I still got buddies I talk to all the time that I graduated high school with and played ball with, and we stay in touch. And I'm actually, I don't know whether I should say this or not, but I'm approaching my 25-year class reunion.
Wow.
Up in August. So
you're getting old, Matt. You're getting old.
I know. Like I said, life goes on, but my hair keeps getting a little grayer each day. So that's okay. I've had a good run, and like I said, I enjoyed my time as an Elwood Panther, and had some really good coaches, and Tony Boley was my football and my wrestling coach, and he was up at Warsaw for a little while, and we were pretty good. I think we won 22 straight conference championships in wrestling, and football, we had a pretty good season my senior year. Ended up getting beat out by Yorktown, who had a really good team. But and baseball was probably my, the sport I loved the most. Had a chance to go to Anderson University, but then I decided to go to Ball State and pursue my teaching degree there, and had to kind of hang up sports as an athlete, and made the transition to coaching right away. And actually went back. My first teaching job was back at Elwood High School, and taught there for 2 years, and did some coaching, and got really right back into it. And if you've ever taught in your old high school before, that's a unique experience. A lot of the teachers are the same teachers, and it's a small community, so everyone knows everyone, and just a really good experience my first couple of years of going back to Elwood Community High School and teaching and coaching. And then it was kind of time to get out of that shell and move on a little bit.
You mentioned that your hair is thinning. At least you have hair, Matt. Some of us are still looking for some hair.
Yeah, I got plenty of hair. It's not thinning. It's just it's turning gray on the sides, and the beard. I'm kind of growing a little bit of a beard during this time, and it's definitely got a gray tint to it.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now down in Florida. I know you're working for BSN. Tell people what BSN is, and what you're still involved with a lot of schools.
Yeah, actually, when I first got here, I worked for a company called VNN, which does the athletic websites. We used it at Garen Catholic. A lot of schools in Indiana used VNN. Chris Brelich, a buddy of mine, was my rep, was able to kind of get me in the door. And that was another great experience of going around and talking to athletic directors and coaches. And same thing we're talking about. Hey, here's a tool how you can recognize your programs. Here's a tool how you can recognize your student athletes and the success that they have. And it's just a greof communication tool. But in the last month, I've made the transition to BSN Sports. And BSN Sports is part of the varsity brands of Herff Jones and varsity varsity spirit. I'll tell you what, if it's sports related, we sell it. Sports equipment, sports apparel, Nike, Under Armour, uniforms, custom uniforms. Just another job where I can use my experience of telling my story of an athletic director and having a BSN account and having a Nike account and going into athletic directors now and going, hey, here's a way that I can help make you a more effective leader. Here's a way how I can make your job maybe a little bit easier. We're a one-stop shop where we have the access to all your needs, and you're not dealing with a bunch of different vendors. And by doing that, with us being a good-sized company, a Fortune 500 company, we're able to also give you a great price and really kind of be that extension of athletic director staff. The way I approach it is I want them to feel like I'm part of their staff and at least a partner with them and trying to, we talk about elevating the student experience. It seems like the same thing, whether I'm an athletic director or whether I'm selling an athletic website or whether I'm selling sporting equipment. At the end of the day, it's all about these student athletes and trying to give them the best experience possible.
And that's the best thing that we can do for our kids right now, is giving them the best. Hey, Matt, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about your favorite memory in high school and maybe as a coach. We'll take a 2-minute break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Sports Zone on IndianaSRN.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to IndianaSRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to IndianaSRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Back on the Sports Zone, Keith Myers, Matt Lane joins us from Florida. Got you up early this morning, didn't we?
A little early, but not too bad. I mean, I'll tell you one thing about Florida is you learn to get up earlier in the day to get things done with the heat. So I've changed my cycle a little bit.
There you go. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about maybe your favorite memory as a coach. It can be any time during your career, because I'm sure you have very well, a lot of them, because I know you and you put 100% in everything that you do. One of the favorite memories you have as a coach?
Well, I tell you that, wrestling season just wrapped up, and I had a lot of memories pop up on my Facebook, and absolutely the best memory I had is, whether you call it as a coach, AD, I was helping do a little bit of coaching time, but I was an athlete here in Catholic. was a couple years ago, we hosted the Hamilton County Wrestling Championships for the first time, which is, a big deal for Guerin Catholic and a smaller school to host such a big event for Hamilton County. And at that point in time, we had never had a Hamilton County wrestling champion before. And that year, my son, Corbin Lane, wrestled and won a county championship. Him and Jeff Danaski, by the way, shout out to Jeff Danaski for capping off a great wrestling career at Guerin Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
But first time ever, we had actually 2 county wrestling champions in the history of Guerin Catholic, and my son was one of them. And, as the AD, I got to put the medal around his neck and shake his hand, and it's a memory I'll never forget. And just that bond between a father and a son, as well as a coach and an athlete, it just kind of all came together and was just, like I said, it popped up on my memory, during wrestling season, and just one of the greatest memories I can ever recall.
I know that you got to watch the Circle City Conference Wrestling Meet. IndianaSRN broadcast that. I sent you an email. I know you watched a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about the conference and how that has grown and how IndianaSRN has adapted that conference, because now a lot of people can see a lot of their conference foes and their games on that. You comment about the conference a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by far, it's just one of those where those schools have so much tradition. There's so many great people, as you know. It's people that make up a lot of things, and just those friendships from those athletic directors. I mean, it's just another one of those things where we can go out and between the whistles compete as hard as we can. But then afterwards, come back together and fellowship, come back together, and giving thanks to God and really kind of being friends and pulling together. And SRN has really allowed us, allowed the athletic directors to, show a vision of what we had about a conference. When we first met about this conference, we wanted it to be different. We didn't want it to be like just an athletic conference. We wanted it to be more of a fellowship, a brotherhood, a sisterhood, where these kids can learn from one another, not only competing, but through charity, through their work, in the classroom, the work outside the classroom, their service to their community, all those things. And SRN has done just a great job of highlighting student athletes and spotlighting that they're not only athletes, but they're great kids who are going to be great people, who are going to contribute to society and make big changes in this world. So, very thankful that we were able to, come together as a conference and continue to bring in great schools and new schools, Heritage Christian, and bringing them in and just a different, been part of conferences before, but just a different mindset, different vision for this conference. And really have liked how it's grown and continues to be what I would call a model for other conferences that want to build just outside of competing.
Well, Matt, I thank you very much for what you've done for us, because there are some Friday nights that I know you have locked on and listened to some games. You've sent me some comments about watching some games and some of my guests that you've listened to. I appreciate that. So it's a lot of fun. We've had a great bond, and I know our friendships will continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Come down to the Sunshine State sometime. We'll have to get together. I'll show you around. I am coaching a little football down here at Lakewood Ranch. So,
okay.
I wanted to stay involved, and coaching is a great way to be part of the community. So
maybe SRN Florida.
Hey, come on down. We'll do a show together.
All right. Hey, here's your quiz. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready to watch Gilligan's Island or Andy Griffith?
Gilligan's Island, for sure.
Spinach or carrots?
Spinach. Got to eat your spinach.
Spinach. Okay. Spending the day with Barney Fife or Gomer Pyle?
Gomer Pyle, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Email or text?
What was that again?
Email or text?
I guess I'll go with text messages.
Okay. Final one. Cake or pie?
Cake. Cake all day.
What kind of cake?
Pineapple upside down cake. How about that?
That sounds good. Hey, Matt, thank you very much for your time. We'll talk to you soon, and stay healthy, will you?
Will do. Hey, I just real quick shout out to the spring sports athletes, coaches, especially seniors. Just, heartbreaking that, canceled spring sports. I know they put a lot of time into it.
We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
If you find yourself confronted by unwanted pests in your home or office, then you need to contact the professionals at Kim Mountain Pest Control. We offer quality pest control solutions at an affordable price. We specialize in ants and termites. We're also available to handle a variety of other pests, including roaches, fleas, and flying insects, as well as rats and mice. Don't wait until pests cause severe damage to your home or property. Contact the team of experts at Kim Mountain Pest Control today.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Indiana. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
You're listening to IndianaSRN.org. Back on the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. Thank you very much for joining us. Boy, I am just honored to have this guy on the Sports Zone. Steve McClure pulled some punches, and Mike Jensen. He is the stadium announcer at the Indianapolis Colts. And Mike, first of all, thank you. And how did you get the gig?
Hey, not a problem, Keith. Glad to be on. I'm going into my 23rd season, hopefully if we start on time. But, a lot of people, a whole new generation of Colts fans really don't know how I got it. That's a big question I get. But I'm in the video production business. I do voiceovers. In 92, I was the stadium announcer for the Indianapolis Ice hockey. I just did that for 1 year, and so that was kind of my introduction into public address. But, fast forward to 98, there was an article in the paper that the Colts were holding open tryouts for the public address position, and that was the year they drafted Peyton Manning. And I think there were probably just over 350 people went down to the RCA Dome for the tryouts. And it was kind of funny because I saw the thing in the paper and I wasn't really that interested. But I had 6 friends of mine called me at work and said, "Hey, Jensen, you going to try out for that?" So I went down there and I got there about 6 o'clock, and it was taking a long time. I think the Colts marketing staff were the judges, and they had a script of different phrases that you would say as a public address announcer, and so you would go up and read it, and then what they did was they invited back the top 16, and I was invited back for that. And then they had like a Sweet 16 playoff, and so they had a bracket, kind of like the Final Four, and this guy would go, then that guy would go, and the whole idea of it was it came down to me and this other guy, and it was Artie Widgery, who's a local stand-up comedian and voiceover guy. I knew Artie, and so we were the 2 finalists. And then we alternated quarters of a preseason game against the Chargers. Gosh, it's been so long. I think, maybe I went the first quarter, Artie did the second, and then we flipped the second half. And then the Colts called me, the following Tuesday and said I got it. So that's kind of how I got the Colts gig. And, in addition to that, that's kind of led to I announced the Big Ten Football Championship since its inception. And I filled in for David Pickman over at the Indianapolis Indians over the years. And then I do a lot of public address work for Indiana Sports Corp for the Indy Ultimate Challenge, the Corporate Challenge, and some of their other events. So that's kind of my public address world.
Yeah, the neat thing, I think you have coined the phrase "third down" better than anybody else that I've heard in the business.
Well, the third down thing is pretty interesting because there are at the beginning of each season, they forward me an email from the NFL that talks about do's and don'ts during game day. And at one point, we were not allowed to overemphasize third down. And you could get, a check mark, or they would bring it to your attention if you did it. But I think over time, they've loosened some things up, and one of those was bringing back the third down. So, they do that across the league, and in addition to like the first down thing that I do, but the third down, and so it's a good trigger to get the fans into it, and there's a distinct difference. I mean, there's a lot going on up there during the game, and I might get to a point. I have to stop talking when the team gets to the line of scrimmage, or I don't have it in front of me. I think 24 seconds on the play clock. There cannot be any music, or I can't do any talking or anything like that. So if I miss doing the third down because of that window, it takes the fans a while to get into it. So it is a prompt. It is a prompt that does work. So
yeah, it's good. It's good too. You've been doing so many games. Have you counted how many games you've done starting with your hockey all the way through to now, the present date?
No, I have not kept track of it. Somebody asked me how many Colts games I did, and it's not super easy math because there were some. I suppose I could include preseason, but there's some playoffs, and so you couldn't do the math like 16 games plus 2 preseason times the number of years I've been doing it. So I would have to go back through and figure out how many playoff games I did. So, but yeah, it's a bunch.
Okay.
And then include other sports. So.
Yep.
I guess that would be a good number.
The obvious question has been: have you ever been asked to not speak from an official? Because I have a friend who has done public address announcing for baseball, who the umpire has said, you cannot speak any longer. Have you had that heed or that warning yet?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
no.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
Back in the when the third down was not supposed to be done, I think I gave a little too much inflection. Actually, we were playing the Saints, and I'll lose track of time. I'll tell you, oh, that happened 3 years ago, and so we go, no, that happened 5 years ago. But I do remember it was the Saints, and they complained that the public address announcer was overemphasizing down and distance. So, and then that was before they loosened it up, and now we can do it. But that's probably the closest I came. I think that there was I got an email one of the games last year. I think I did do a third down within that window where all sound has to stop, music, everything, before the ball or the time left on the clock. So there's, from what I understand, there are NFL observers at each game kind of critiquing the whole day. So
yeah, that's
kind of interesting. They give positive feedback to the team on how to, what they can improve on in game day experience, and then point out those things that are in the rule book that we got to stay close to.
That's a whole team effort, though. It's just not you. You have some spotters up there that has helped you, and that whole entire production at the Indianapolis Colts, I think it's better than anybody in the business. Of course, I'm a little biased because I am from Indiana, but it just seems that Hoosier hospitality and everybody involved in the game, it's a great team effort.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one time they took a photo of everybody who does game day from like our side of the ball. Yeah, I mean, I'm up in the production room with the guys that are doing the cameras and just the whole audio video game day experience. So I'm the voice, and then I'm on headsets with a director and 2 producers from the Colts, and I have Steve McClure, my spotter, to my right, and Steve is giving me information. It's pretty hectic, but over time it just just kind of rolls through. It's kind of interesting. I had an occasion a few years ago. Our game day director was going to be doing, I think it was Ball State IU. I did the last Ball State IU game, but it was one before that. And the Ball State guy was going to do the public address. And Bob said, I think I want to hire you to kind of spot with him. And I'm like, is that a good use of your money and my time? But it was kind of interesting to sit there next to the Ball State guy because I ended up doing it and just, there's a lot going on with, like, if we miss a timeout, a break in the script might get moved to a later part. And, so just to look at it from that perspective, it fascinated me on really how hectic it is. I'm so used to the hecticness now, but from that point, I wasn't really doing much other than pointing and talking and saying, hold up, okay, go, just kind of cueing him and stuff like that. So, so it's, so during the game, it's Steve and I think there's a video online somewhere Steve shot of our interaction, which is pretty cool. People find that interesting. So, on the offense, I can see who offense is easier as it opens up. You can see who's in the backfield. They turn and hand the ball off, or you can see, if there's a pass, it's in the air for a while, so you see who catches it. So Steve gives me the, he'll confirm oftentimes the receiver, but typically he'll give me the, who was in on the tackle, who would get credited with the tackle, and then he would give me down and distance or yards gained, and so I just really kind of he just blows a lot of information at me, and I pick and choose what he says that I want to say, and then when we go to a commercial break, now I'm on headsets over here with the director and the two producers, and if there's a break where I have to say something, read some of the spots that run on the big screen or already have a voiceover, pre-recorded in it that someone else did. But if it's something that I have to read along to, or it's a promotion like, Blues, when he throws the football from section 401 for a Legionnaire, so there are certain things there. So they cue me and they count me down. So if there's something before I read, they'll go Jensen and 3, 2, 1, go Mike Jensen. So I'll go, now it's time for the Legionnaire toss from, so. Yeah. So I into that.
That wonderful radio voice. Hey, Mike, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in a couple minutes. All right. Can you stay with us?
I sure can.
It is IndianaSRN. It is the Sports Zone. I wish I had a voice like Mike, but I don't. We'll be back after this 2-minute timeout on IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job that helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to IndianaSRN, God's Word 24/7 and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Mike Jensen joins us on Indiana SRN. Thank you very much. It is the Sports Zone. Mike, you know what we do at Indiana SRN. I think you helped us out with a couple of voiceovers over the couple of years. What is your take of internet sports and now with us doing webcasting? Is that a good thing for high school sports, or your take on the internet sports scene?
Oh, no. I mean, it's interesting to me how it's exploded. I mean, it's like, before you went from, I had two kids that went to Cathedral, and then my youngest goes to Chittard. So, we would follow, those games, primarily football, but follow those games over the years. And, before it was like you would always be logging into the Channel 13 app and just refreshing to get the score. So I think it's fascinating how the internet coverage of high school athletics has, really exploded. I mean, just with what you guys are doing, how you guys have taken it too from, audio only to now adding a video component to it. I mean, there were plenty of times where we were, searching all over the place, to try to find the games online. And a lot of times we could find stuff at SRN. I think it was the, for Chittard, but also it's just the access, to be able to, catch almost any game. And it's just fascinating. I also do the, just how media has evolved too at the high school sports level. I do the team introduction videos. I think I said earlier, my core business, the cool thing is just part-time. So my core business is I'm a video producer. I've been doing that since 1990. So I work out of my house, got a bunch of clients, do all kinds of things. I do a lot of work with the IHSA, but I do the team introduction videos for the IHSA state football finals. But I also do the intros for the Colts Horseshoe Classic for the Colts that really kicks off the high school football season. But what fascinated me was when I was doing North Central's, Coach O'Shea was telling me, he's like, yeah, it's amazing, all this video. He said the kids had like a photo video shoot day like the Big Ten does. And I'm like, really? And I pulled some of that stuff up, and it was pretty it looked just like it. They had sets built, and the kids were taking photos and doing some videos, and I'm like, all I could think of was, who's paying for all this? So, but it is interesting how it has exploded, and I think you guys have done a great job. You can always find any game. It's really cool that video component has been added too. But it's always, I'm sometimes old school. It's fun just the audio. Just the audio can be sometimes more exciting than listening.
Yeah.
Than watching it. So.
We did
Good job, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We did over 200 games this season, and our season got cut short. Hopefully August is coming, and high school football will come right back and have a lot of things in store, and looking forward to that. And, it's just what we do, and I think we do a very good job of it. And, Steve is part of that, and Steve, and we just thank you what you have done for us over the last couple of years. You have a great voice, and I'm envious right now. I don't have that deep voice as you have, but I'll get there. Maybe as age, maybe that will help. Maybe at 70, I have that deep voice. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's the role that I have with the Colts. It's fascinating. It's for me. It's like so surreal. Because most public address announcers for pro sports teams are a local radio or TV guy, and people don't, or people know who they are. But really, even after 23 seasons, people don't know who I am. But it's kind of fun. I've had some articles done or news stories done over the years, and it's kind of I like how they use their creativity to get into their story. 2 years ago, Mike Lopresti, who writes sports for the Indianapolis Business Journal, did a story on me, and he started his off with, if you've been to a Colts game, this guy's in on every play. And then Anthony Calhoun did a story on me a few years ago, and he said his voice is familiar as the players on the field, but he needs an introduction. So it is. It's just kind of surreal. I'm up in a booth, and I got Steve McClure to my right, and I push a button, and my voice goes out, and it's just kind of surreal. And, it's interesting too. This guy, sent me a message on Twitter, and he said, he just kind of paid me a compliment that just said that my voice really adds. He's a season ticket holder, and my voice really adds to the game day experience. I mean, that's what it is. I'm part of the game day experience, so it's fun to get feedback too. But it's largely for me, it's just surreal. I think it's I go up there and push a button, and I don't know. It's pretty cool, though.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us, and the Colts season coming up very quickly. Thank you again for allowing us to give you giving us the time, because we know you're really kind of busy during the day, but we appreciate you spending some time with us this morning.
All right. I appreciate it. Good talking to you, Keith.
We'll take a break. We'll come back with a lot more. It is the Sports Zone on IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game.
If you find yourself confronted by unwanted pests in your home or office, then you need to contact the professionals at Kim Mountain Pest Control. We offer quality pest control solutions at an affordable price. We specialize in ants and termites. We're also available to handle a variety of other pests, including roaches, fleas, and flying insects, as well as rats and mice. Don't wait until pests cause severe damage to your home or property. Contact the team of experts at Kim Mountain Pest Control today.
Just 2 years ago, internet radio seemed to be a mysterious phenomenon. It was available for use, but there wasn't much data. That has changed. Today, there is a growing body of information on internet radio. 7 out of 10 people ages 18 to 45 prefer to listen to internet radio than a terrestrial radio station. If you're interested in reaching this audience, email us at coach@IndianaSRN.org. We look forward to sharing our low rates with you and help to market your business. Contact us at coach@IndianaSRN.org.
Hey, Derek here. Please give me just a few seconds to explain why I can help you better than anyone else, guaranteed. I create for you a super fast and responsive client-grabbing website that increases customer acquisition by almost 300%. Your new website will honestly value at over $2,000, and you will get it for a huge and ridiculous discount if you act right now. Contact me today. Let's build something great together.
Contact Derek at PCProsLLC.com.
You're listening to IndianaSRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. You are listening to IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game. On Hotline now, a good friend of ours, Kyle Simpson, who, when we first met, Kyle, I think it was at Southport High School during the football season. It was raining, and you gave me a Southport rain jacket so I could do my field reporting without getting too wet.
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember that opportunity, and I remember Steve McClure introducing us, and we had a lot of good memories up in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the Southport Cardinals that year was rebounding with the season, and really Bill Peoples did a great number there for that program, and you yourself with the basketball program back in those days, and they're continuously growing with great leadership there with the new coach Brandon Winters now in his 5th year, I do believe, and you've been gone a couple of years. They kind of miss you. You're down in Bloomington and don't get to see you much. Hopefully we would have been able to see you in the state tournament, but that came kind of short as well.
It did. I mean, it was disappointing. It was one of those deals where you kind of felt like things were starting to fall into place with our team. Coach Holmes and I were talking a lot. And, we started seeing a lot of different qualities in this team that echoed some of the teams that I was part of when I was at Bloomington South previously before I came to Southport. And, the great group of kids, hardworking, they were fun to be around, and you just hated to see, it's one of those memories that I won't forget. We're staying in the gym the Friday before the regional. We're getting ready to get our bags packed and get ready to board the bus and then the IHSA called Coach Holmes in the gym, and Coach told the seniors and the team, and just see the heads drop and the disappointment. It's just one of those things that'll be engraved in my brain for a long time. It's just sad, but I told the kids, I said, we went 26-0, and I told them, and Coach Holmes said the same thing. I said, we're the only team in the state to go undefeated, so they can't take that from them. And so, it's great accomplishment, and we had a lot of fun this year.
Talk a little bit about your days with Southport High School. We now have been with Southport. This will be our 7th or 8th year. Kyle, you were one of those coaches who said and saw my sales pitch. You fell in love with this right away. Take us back to those days, how we worked with you and how we developed a monster, because the alumni to this day just blows up the airways when Southport High School is on the air.
Well, one of the things early on when I got hired at Southport is I was really in a big belief that Southport had history and it had a very strong alumni base. And the thing that I really wanted to get back was try to get the alumni back at games and really get support around the program and the school, because, obviously, at the time, Bart Brower was principal. She really was wanting to get the alumni around, and, Pete Hubert, I kind of talked to him about my plan, and, it was one of those things when Steve McClure had mentioned it, and then you came in and talked to us, it just made sense for all of us. And, I thought it was a good opportunity. You get pitched all the time with different things. And so, at the time, for me, it made sense because of, of the platform, being a Christian-based radio program. And, I know that, there's a strong faith in the Southport community. And for me, just being able to connect with our alumni around the country, be able to have them listen online. I still listen. Even though I'm not at Southport anymore, I listen. When we have off nights, I still sit upstairs, turn my phone on, and, either listen to a football game if I'm driving back from a Bloomington South game, or, if we have an off night, I listen to, the Southport basketball game. So I just felt like it was important for us to get our program on the radio airwaves and be able to hear what we were trying to do to get, the Southport basketball program back on a state level.
Behind the scenes, tell me your thoughts when Thad and Steve was coming to do your pregame show. I think it was kind of hilarious. I think I got to go to one of those little interview things. I know it's like 45 minutes or an hour before game time. You still don't have your tie on. You're relaxed. You're cutting up. And then all of a sudden that tape starts playing and that coach's eyes got strong. Talk a little bit about behind the scenes of how those guys developed a relationship with you and the friendship, not only with you, but your other coaches and the players to this day coming when they see the banner, know we're there. Behind the scenes, what did that seem like to you?
Well, I always enjoyed talking with Steve and Thad, and and even to this day, Steve and Thad still reach out to me. Steve sent me a lot of encouraging messages throughout the season, and Thad comes down to Bloomington to IU games, and it was one of those things that just kind of got a chance for us to connect on a personal level, because I'm a very honest and open person, and so I could talk candidly with them. And I really enjoyed our talks. Steve, obviously, he's a professional. He's done it a long time. And so I always enjoyed his questions. And Thad being an up-and-comer and being new to the business and seeing him, how he's developed and, taken off in his career, it was fun to work on two different sides. Work with an experienced guy and a guy that really wanted to get into the business and, really build his career. And, it's one of those things, we kept it pretty casual. It was one of those, they were always welcome to come around practice. We made sure we got them polos, and they wore the polos like our coaching staff. We wanted to make sure they were part of us because, like I said, I wanted us to have that connection. And so to have that connection, we need to make sure we had the relationship built to where they could, be an extension of us on game night. So it was a lot of fun.
You can send me that Bloomington South polo anytime, Coach. The mail does deliver, and you can send me that polo anytime you want. Hey,
I will definitely send you one. I promise. I'll send you one.
Okay, I'll give you my address when we get done with this. Also, Coach, was that run that you made, and then during the All-Star games, we had you come as the guest as a commentator with us. You saw what we do behind the scenes. It was not as easy as you thought, but the insight there has been really kind of cool. Do you miss that part, or do you really enjoy the X's and O's?
No, I enjoy the behind the scenes stuff. I really enjoyed calling the state finals with Sean Krell. I really enjoyed sitting with him and doing that. I'm happy to hear, by the way, he's doing better. I mean, from what I'm following on Facebook and Twitter, it sounds like he's his health's improving with the I think, did he have the virus? Is that correct? Did he end up testing positive?
Yeah, he did. I just talked to him before I got you on the air. He's doing much better, and he's tested. He's cleared, and he can't wait to get back to do some games. And I think we're all in that same boat.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I really enjoyed working with Sean, and and getting a chance. I mean, I guess it's one of those things. Growing up as a little kid, you always kind of did your imaginary games in the driveway. You acted like you were the broadcaster while you were playing in the driveway.
You're right.
And for me, it just kind of felt. I always told my wife, if I ever got out of coaching, down the road, that this could be something I could get into, because I just love talking and visiting with people and sharing the color of a game, and the excitement. And to be able to have that opportunity, for you to give me that opportunity, I will always be grateful for. And who knows, maybe down the road, if I step away, maybe I'll join the SRN crew.
I tell you what, I'll send you an SRN polo here shortly here too, Coach. We'll just change polos. How about that?
I love it. We'll do it for sure.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I want your fondest memories as a player, as a coach at Southport, and now at Bloomington, and just wrap those all up. And I'll just give you a couple minutes to think about it, and we'll take a break, and we'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. We're with Kyle Simpson. We'll have more in just a second.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get. We know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Back on the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN, Kyle Simpson joins us. As we left you, Coach, a couple of highlights, a high school career at Southport and then also down at Bloomington South. Give us a little bit of insight there.
Well, obviously, you could say, the obvious answers and talk about the Evansville Rights game and the sellout crowds and winning that game. And you could talk about the 2016 season. There were a lot of wonderful memories that season. But for me, probably the two biggest memories that step out to me was during my second year, during the 13 and 14 season. We had got on a good run the middle of January, and we had won at Perry Meridian in the county tournament. We had gone to Mooresville, and at the time I believe they were 5th or 6th in the state. And I think for me, winning that game at Mooresville was a defining moment in our program, to win at Mooresville, a team that was ranked in the state, and then turn around and beat Columbus North a week later, there's a picture I have somebody took of our bench the night we beat Columbus North in overtime. They were number 4 in the state at the time, and it was Josh Bidel's junior year. He was a junior all-star at the time. Great program. And I remember that we won. I think Malik Bennett got a steal with the game tied, and we got in a layup to take the lead. And there's a picture of our bench, and we all got our arms in the air. And you look at the passion and the excitement in our players, and for them to have that moment and to understand that our program was taking that big step has always been engraved in my brain. And I think, that built for the years ahead, for the 14 and 15 season, for the, the run we had with being number 1 in the state for the first time in school history and being ranked nationally. And then obviously carrying over to the 16 season when we had the Final Four run. I really felt like that season really set the tone going into those two. And, that was a moment that I'll never forget. At Bloomington, obviously I had a couple really good memories before I came to Southport when I won this part of the teams that won the state title in 2009 and 11. This year I would probably say for us to be able to – well, actually, I won't even say it was be this season because, going 26-0 was really special. But for me last season, being a part of the staff and seeing Coach Holmes break Jack Butcher's record and being at that game on the coaching staff, I was fortunate enough to be on staff when he won his first state title and then his second state title. And then, to be able to see him become the state's all-time winningest coach for me and to be able to help in that celebration. And, we put a video together of a bunch of college coaches and longtime friends he had that were congratulating him. We had a big celebration. And I think to me, that's probably the most special memory coming back to Bloomington that I've had at South. So it's been I've enjoyed my coaching career and I've been very blessed to be a part of some special things.
Let's talk real quick, Coach. Talk about the 2012-2013 season when you were 1-19. A lot of people doubted the hiring of Kyle Simpson. You won one game that year. It was against Franklin with a 51-48 victory. But that was a tough year. Did that build character for you, your family, and did that motivate you to be a hard worker? Because you are definitely the hardest guy working in high school basketball. There's a lot of good friends that I have, but you're one of the guys that really have helped me make that discipline. You taught me something long ago when Debbie got sick, and something you said to me, and it stuck with me. Did that season bring that character out?
It did. I walked into a situation where we only had 2 points of offense returning from a team the year before, very inexperienced team, playing a very tough schedule. And, I think it kind of taught me a life lesson that you can go in with one plan, but you got to learn to be flexible and adapt to another. And, I had this all thought out. I had all these grand plans, and this is what we were going to do right off the bat. The first 8 or 9 games just didn't go the way we wanted. We started out 0-9, but then, starting after Christmas, some things started to change. The guys, they worked every day so hard, and that was a fun group to coach, even though you only won one game. Every day you didn't have to question effort. They was there. They worked hard. They believed in what we were trying to do. And so for me, it was trying. it was tough to come in the locker room and see disappointment when you had high hopes that you're going to win that game and you didn't win. And, and especially the second half of the season, we came so close. We lose to Lawrence Central in the county tournament in the first round in overtime, Kyle Guy's freshman year, and we had to lead the entire game, and they hit a 3 at the buzzer to send it into overtime. And, it was one of those things you just, as a leader, you stay true to your message. Stick with the plan. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. And we got better every game. From game 1 to game 20, we were right there. We were losing games by 4 and 5 points. It came down to a possession or two that just didn't go our way. And when you have an inexperienced team that never had played at the varsity level, there was a lot of growing pains. And so, I leaned on my faith, and, I have an amazing family. I have a beautiful wife and 3 amazing sons. And, they're your biggest fans no matter whether you win or lose. They're always there for you. And so the importance of family and friends and, just faith got me through that season. And, it was just one of those things that, we always have a team prayer before. And, and it was one of those that in the good moments when things started to turn, the years ahead, there's a picture of us that night. We talked about the Columbus North game where there's a picture of us and we're saying a prayer and giving thanks for the opportunity for our program to have that special moment together. And, we're all kneeling and we have our heads bowed and, I'm saying a prayer. And it's just one of those things that, as a leader, you can't give up on a plan. You just have to adjust as it goes and roll with the punches. And that's what we did.
Coach, we thank you very much for your time today. Here's a real quick quiz for you. You ready?
Yes.
Would you rather watch Gilligan's Islands or Andy Griffith?
Oh, goodness. Probably Gilligan's Island.
Debbie came up with this quiz, so I know that you're going to be prepared now. Burger King or Taco Bell?
Depending on the mood I'm in, Taco Bell.
All right. You want to spend the day with Barney Five, Gomer, or Gomer Pyle?
Gomer Pyle.
Okay, last one. Do you rather eat frozen yogurt or ice cream?
Ice cream.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again.
Great catching up with you as always. Thank you, Keith.
All right. Well, I think that ends the show. So we thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk to you tomorrow, same time, 11 o'clock, right here on IndianaSRN. It's IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game. You're listening to IndianaSRN, God's Word 24/7 and Sport.
It's coming. It's coming. BuyIPS.tv. High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on BuyIPS.tv. Football, volleyball, and basketball, and so much more. Coming this fall. BuyIPS.tv. Let the games begin.
Hey, it's Kurt Wallace from the Weekend Top 20 Countdown with a reminder that Lunch Break with Coach is coming up next here on IndianaSRN.org. It's inspiring music and so much more. Don't miss Lunch Break. It's coming up next on IndianaSRN. IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game.